Today we're going to be doing a video on my 2015 Honda 700X. We're doing a maintenance day, so oil change, spark plugs, air filter, some other, clean the chain, lube the fork seals, and yeah. So we've already done the oil change, already filmed that, so now we're going to move along to the next stuff. You can check out the other video I posted on how a K&N filter could ruin your bike or kill you. That's why I'm doing it today, because it was leaking. I noticed it today. Let's just say the guy who owned this bike before me did some stuff I wouldn't do. I wouldn't buy one of these super cheap aluminum drain bolts with the magnet in it. I would just keep the regular one. I mean, he got it because it has a magnet, which is nice, but they're just aluminum and they feel so cheap and garbage. And I've seen videos of people where they break and they're hollow and stuff. So I wouldn't do this. Same with the K&N filter that's on the bike. I wouldn't put that on there. But it's good that it's getting some attention now, but just a little quick show and tell. Also, just another little side note, if you have an aluminum drain bolt, you don't have to tighten it to the same torque that you would have to tighten a steel one. Aluminum is a softer metal, so it's gonna become tighter quicker, and if you were to tighten it to the same amount, it would most likely break or snap. A little tip. Oh boy, the oil filter is on there extremely tight. This is gonna be fun. He used the nut on the end of the K&N filter to tighten it. Watch my other video to see my thoughts on K&N filters. We'll see what happens. I'm either gonna break the tip of it off right now, or I'll just have to go in and grab my oil filter removal wrench, which is like the strap kind that goes around the outside. Let's see. Never tighten your oil filters past hand tight, kids. Tip of the day. Be right back. Alright, we're back. Already, we're back. Hopefully, this bad boy gets it off. One of the annoying things about living in apartments and working down your apartment garage is you gotta go all the way up to your apartment to get something to use. Got it. Thank goodness for having the right tool for the job. Off with the old garbage leaking K&N filter. Trash. K&N, trash. On with the new OEM Honda filter. Gold. A little worn off, but Honda genuine parts. Alright, so just put oil in it. It says it takes 3.6 quarts when you change the filter and oil. So I just put in about 3.6, 3.5. We're going to start it up, let it run for a sec, then we'll check the oil level and top it off from there. Another pro tip on keeping track of your maintenance, which I'll take a screenshot and show you, but in my phone, I keep a note of the dates and mileage that I do certain maintenance. So I'm just, when I'm sitting on there, just putting in there that I changed the oil and filter on today's date at 20,658 miles, and then the other maintenance I'm gonna do. It's a good way just to keep track. If you forget, also when it comes time to sell, the bike, you have a log of what you've done when you've done it, and it shows that you take good care of your your vehicles. So it's just another pro tip. In the oil, So what you do is this is screwed in all the way, right? You gotta unscrew it all the way, take it out, unscrew it all the way, take it out, don't even bother looking at it, wipe it off, and then you put it back in. You just set it in there, put it in there, you don't twist it in, you set it in there, and then you pull it out, and then that's your oil level. So you can see it's a little low. I need to add more to top it off. It's at the top of the dipstick. Perfect. So we're good to go. Done with the oil change. All right, so next little maintenance thing we're gonna do is we're gonna lube the fork seals and fork dust boots. So you can see this is the dust boot. Obviously this is one over here. Didn't undo this one just for demonstration. So down in there, which you can kind of make out, that is actually your fork seal. That's what holds the liquid back. And then this top one is just a dust boot. That's what prevents stuff from getting down to the fork seal and damaging it. So what you do is you take a flathead screwdriver and you just wedge it under. You just wedge it under there. You kind of hit it in with your hand, then you walk it around slowly and you pop that up. And once that's up, we're gonna clean the tube, top and bottom. I did the top before. Clean the tube, and then we're gonna apply some grease around here. And we're gonna compress the forks down by pushing on the handlebars to allow the fork seal to absorb the grease. And that's to keep the seal nice, keep the stiction low. Stiction is like this thing getting stuck. And yeah, just a simple little maintenance thing. It's really good to do to your bike and helps your suspension perform as it should. Wiped off the tubes. I've applied grease to the tube. Not that much, just a pretty small amount. This is probably even too much. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit on the bike. Mine has a rear stand. I'm gonna sit on the bike. I'm gonna compress the front so that the fork tubes go in and out and it soaks up the grease. And then I'm going to put a little more and get the dust boots greased up, because obviously both these things slide up and down on the tube. Then I'm gonna put the caps back on, just push them back on, and we're done. All I've done is get on the bike. I took it off the center stand, bounced it up and down, and you can see that all that grease was there is now gone. There's a little bit up here where the forks went up to, but the fork seals have taken up pretty much 100% of that grease, which is awesome. So now I'm just gonna put a little more for the seals, put those down, wipe it up, and we're done. Okay, all done. So all I did was I put a little more on there, slid the dust boots down. I used a rubber mallet, recommended, don't use something hard. Tapped the dust boots back on, wiped it all off, and job done. Front suspension will probably perform, a small amount better, 5%, 10%, 20%, 1%. Point is, it'll perform better, and that's always a plus. So moving on to the next thing. Little side note, this is the grease I use, synthetic blend grease. Disc brakes, bearings, chassis, it's just universal grease. I don't really like the gray kind, I like the red kind, but that's what we got. All right, so now we're gonna disassemble this top cover to get to where the air filter goes. Never done it. Looks like there's a lot of screws and stuff to take off for plastics, but we'll see. So luckily it wasn't too bad. You take off these side covers, which is only one screw and a plastic thing. Then you just take off all this stuff up here. There's some bolts in here, the internal cover. And then there's the access. There's two screws for the back of the air filter. Then this whole thing comes off, and there's screws for the air filter around the front. And then after you get all those off, you can then pop the air filter off, or the air filter cover. You gotta undo that. And then, boom, this thing's free. Huzzah. Now our air filter is out, and we can take a look on how it looks. It has some clips on the side you gotta take off, and then get to the air filter. So it's dirty, but not crazy bad. I mean, this bike doesn't make that much power, doesn't suck in that much air, so we're just gonna slap the new one in there, which I've got right here, and we will be good to go. So, just for example, old versus new, dirty versus not dirty. Well, the other camera died, so I'm just gonna show you. So I got this back together. The internal service panel, just 2 screws and slots in at the bottom. These screws, this plastic, all 4 of those, same thing on the other side. Then there's also some plastic ones up here on both sides. So that's all back together, and then these 2 side covers, which is really easy. They slide forward, 1 bolt there, and there's push tabs on the inside. And that's it, it's all back together. Air filter changed. Out with the old, in with the clean. This thing for the day is gonna be changing the spark plugs, which there's 2 of, 1 here, 1 there. Those are the boots for them. So we gotta drop this lower pan, then take the plugs out. Should be pretty simple. Just gonna be some fasteners to take off. We'll check back in a sec. So here's the spark plugs. The old one is on the top here. This spark plug looks 100% okay. It looks pretty much brand new. It looks like it's been in there for, you know, a month, which it may have. This is the new one. I'm not gonna put the new ones in. I'm just gonna put this one back in, tighten it back down, and call it good. Boots. Do the boot tips. It helps with conductivity and keeping moisture out. Since this is pretty low and in the front of the engine, water could splash up from the tire. Put some of that on there, so I'm just gonna pop these back in. This lower cover was extremely easy to take on and off. It only had 2 bolts, 1 on each side, and then it has these push pins, 2 on each side, which just pushed into these rubber grommets here and here, so super easy. Just gonna put that all back together and then be done. So that wraps up the maintenance day on the Honda NC700X. So I cleaned and lubed the fork seals and dust boots. I also did the same thing to the rear shock. It doesn't have the whole dust boot situation you pop off, but you can lube the shaft. I changed the oil, got rid of that leaking K&N oil filter, put on an OEM oil filter, Honda oil, torched it all down, good to go. I changed the air filter, took off all those top plastics, did that pretty easy. I checked the spark plugs. I was gonna change them, but they're basically brand new, so I left them in. I cleaned some stuff. I cleaned the windscreen, the headlight, the tail light, turn signals, stuff that's important for people to see while I'm on the road. I cleaned the chain, just wiped off the rear wheel. And yeah, pretty basic stuff. It's about 1:30 or 2. I started this at like 11, so it took me like 3 hours to do all that. Well worth the time. Now the bike is good to go for, the next oil change on interval on one of these is about 8,000 miles. I'll probably only go 6. I know that sounds like a lot, but that's just what's recommended on this bike. This motor is a very lazy, detuned. Apparently it's like half of a Honda Fit engine, not high performance, doesn't rev high. So I'd believe it on this one. On a more performance oriented bike, I want it. So yeah, just a quick little maintenance and tune up on this bike, spurred on by my leaking K&N filter. Definitely worth it. Now good to go. I need to get some new front brake pads pretty soon, but besides that, she's good to go. I use this thing for work, so it's awesome to have it in tip-top shape. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ask any questions you have about this thing or about what I did or whatnot, and I'll catch you later. Peace.